Every day a woman reigns.
Today on Style with Trish, we have the wonderful Nia Matthews, who is a life coach and the author of Soul Food Sessions. We also have my friend Carolyn Watson, the CEO of Home. Make sure you stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is the place where the everyday woman reigns.
Every day a woman reigns. It's time to live your dreams. Nothing's gonna stop you now. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Every day a woman reigns. Every day a woman reigns.
My guest today is none other than Nia Matthews. She is one of my favorites. I love her in every aspect of of what she does, what she stands for, and how she blesses so many people, women specifically, and making us and really causing us and wanting us to be better and do better. Help me welcome today my guest, Nia Matthews.
Hello.
I started to give you the whole list of everything that you do, but I'm going to let you do that. You're an author, you're a life coach, you're an entrepreneur,
Yes.
you're a mother, you're a wife, and you do it all so elegantly. How did you find yourself in the position to say, I can do all of this, I can rock all of this?
I would say it was definitely having a very strong foundation. Let's
Yes.
just say that, because to carry all of that, you have to be very grounded.
Yes.
I'm a two-time breast cancer survivor as well. So with that, we know we have that calling on our life. We don't know always when it's going to take off, when it's going to launch. But when you get it, you roll with it.
Yes.
And that's what I've been doing. I've been
Yes.
rolling with it.
So let's talk about the area of life coach. We were sharing a little earlier about the importance of that, and we see a shift in that particular dynamic and need. How did you, or when did you receive the call? Because it has to be a call. When did you receive the call to become a life coach, and what does that entail for those of us who may not know?
Well, I believe I was a life coach before there was such a thing. I just saw people they gravitated towards me. They wanted to tell me what was going on in their life and was hoping that I had a resolution for them. So once I saw that happening more and more and more, I said, okay, let me make sure that I'm certified, number one, before I just go out here and give people advice on doing things. Make sure I got the credentials.
Right.
But also what I saw a lot of women doing a lot of things for a lot of people, but was not taking care of themselves. Meaning even on the inside part of it. So they just took on the ways of the world, the wonders of the world. These are corporate women, lawyers, doctors, mothers, entrepreneurs, but they was running themselves so thin that they were having health issues, they were depressed. And so I felt the need, like, let me be that person, the sounding board, to listen to what it is that they're really yearning for and help them transition that into a balance, which is important, work-life balance, and realizing what's important, and that's themselves first.
Yeah. I think also once you eliminate all of the clutter, and sometimes when you're in the clutter, you don't realize you're in clutter.
Yes.
And so it is really helpful to have someone, an objective eye on the outside looking in, to help kind of clear out the clutter, because what I've always understood from a life coach is helping you reach the goals that you've set for yourself, family, and life. Has that been difficult in some situations? We were sharing that everybody's not easy.
Right. They are not. And sometimes they think it's one thing and it's something totally different.
Right.
But once I do observation or intake, that is, I'm able to identify what that thing is holding them back. And you're true. When you're in your stuff, like you think about if you're in a swamp or you're murky water, you're looking down in that current situation and not looking up on what that reason why you're in that situation. So I do an analysis based on their life, what factors are in place that's causing them to stay in that place. And it's often themselves.
Yeah.
They stay there because that's what they're comfortable with. They don't even realize they're in it. But once we identify the pieces, we're able to come up with a program to help alleviate and elevate and get out that, we are in our own ways or in our own heads all the time.
Yes.
But it's very imperative to have that life coach to kind of sort of help you negate through that.
And I think that you have your platform. I absolutely love. As I stated earlier, I love the way that you deliver it. You do brunches, you do retreats. You do the one-on-one life coaching, and that isn't just because I read all about you. That isn't just locally. That you don't have to be here. Your clients don't have to be here. You can remote, and do sessions. What inspired those different avenues of like doing the brunches and the retreats?
I feel like I am out the box kind of person. God gives you a gift, and it's up to you to stretch it as far as it can go. Well, you have to be innovative these days. Let's just be clear. Social media alone, I mean, you got to stay creative. Yeah. And I still wanted to reach the masses, but didn't want to cap on that. So the brunches is for the local people. We'll get together, be cute, network brunch, and download, and then I help you. But the retreats was something a little bit different because now you're taking a person out their comfort zone in a cabin in the mountains, 3 days, 2 nights, and I'm helping pour back into them versus they're always doing that for everybody. So you become very vulnerable and transparent in those places because you don't have your general atmosphere that you would run back to. Right. I got you. I'm going to build you. I'm going to kind of take the walls down just to build you back up. And with the life coaching, virtual ones are, because you won't have no excuse not to get it. Right. We're going to give it to you one way or another. Brunch, retreat, virtual, in person, however. I just want to not put a cap onto how you can't get what it is that you need.
And you're also an author of several books. And we're going to talk about a little bit more on your current book. What was that like? I always tell authors that I really hate on you guys because I have a book in me. It just hasn't come out yet, but I'm waiting on it. But how was the first writing of your first book? What was that experience like?
Listen, I am not your average writer, that is, or author, that is. I never considered myself one. With me, it was just having a journal. And that journal, because I used that journal, I wrote in that journal when I was going through my first bout of cancer. And I was 27, and my oncologist says, you got to get those thoughts out. You got to get those emotions out. I don't know you got to process that. So my journal, I in turn took it to my publicist, which was my pastor at that time. And I showed it to him. He says, Naya, this is 2-3 books. What are you doing? And I was like, huh? I said, yes, just give it a shot. He says, what people either gonna like it or they're not. And so we put it out there. The Boss and You. I was in real estate at that time for 20 years, and so I used that experience to kind of sort of let people know we got the boss in us, whatever field of work you're in. We just have to pull that out, and that's exactly how my first book came out.
So did you write just what came out, or was it? Because for me, I'm feeling like when I write the book, it has to be written just like chapter 1, chapter 2.
Oh no.
So how is that? You pull it out, you get it out of you, and then you format it?
Yeah, that's not even you. That's an editor. That's what a publisher for. They do that. There's even ghostwriters where they take your words and make it into book form. People think to put too much into it. Nowadays, again, these are creative times. You can literally take a journal and an experienced publicist an experienced publisher will take a look at that and put it into book form. So, and they'll let you know if you have enough content or you need to, come back at, the drawing board or whatever the case may be. But he said that I had 2 books out of just that one journal. So I didn't have to do a lot.
Now, I do believe in journaling. I love to journal. It's not necessarily something I would release out there to public, but it's very therapeutic for me to write. I'm also a songwriter, of course, so writing comes a little easy. But I just God has not given me that book yet. And when he does, you're going to be the first person like, Naya, I got a book in me.
It might be right in that journal that you have, even through a song, because you think about it, how God gives you the words to create those songs.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's just on paper. And you'd be amazed at how many people you're going to reach, not just with your ministry of music, but with your words in a book.
So what was the most rewarding thing about your first book? What was the feeling of accomplishment that you felt most from that release?
That it became a bestseller so fast.
Oh, wow.
through, with Amazon and Books a Million and Barnes and Noble, I did a 25 city book tour with that book. And a lot of my speaking engagements, being involved with Essence, was through that first book.
Yeah.
So what that did was put a little fuel under my feet. Like, okay, Naya, this is going to open up many, many doors in your purpose. So you can't stop now.
Yeah. So we're going to take a really quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive more into specifically soulful sessions. We'll be right back.
Update your wardrobe with fabulous looks from SB Boutique. SB Boutique has something for everyone in a variety of sizes. SB Boutique carries an exceptional selection of today's fashions along with exclusive pieces from the hottest Atlanta designers, including a wide selection of shoes and accessories to complement your style. SB Boutique is a premier fashion forward boutique located at 2750 Chapel Hill Road in Douglasville, directly behind Starbucks. Visit our website at shopsbboutique.com.
Gifted tips from Gabby coming up next.
So for today's tip, we are going to be doing Mrs. Trish's eyebrows, and I'm going to be using 4 products. One is a brown pencil, the second is an angle brush, we have a spoolie, and I'm also using a finishing powder in brown, and this is just going to be to give the eyebrow more of a natural look. I'm going to start with my pencil, but before I start, I've already concealed under her eyebrow to give her a very nice arch. So if you have any stray away hairs, you can use concealer under the eyebrow to be able to take those away and give yourself the arch that you are looking for. I'm going to go in with my pencil next, and I'm actually going to trace over the area that I use concealer on to make my arch only at the bottom. I'm not going all the way to the top, and I'm not going all the way to the inside of the eyebrow. I'm then going to use my spoolie brush to move the product through her eyebrow. And I'm just pushing it around to give it a shape, but you don't want the line to be too harsh. And next I'm gonna go in with my angle brush and my brow powder, the brown. And I'm actually gonna start this from the inside of her eye, and I'm really light, nothing heavy, just to give the eyebrow shape and definition. The powder also eliminates the shininess from the pencil, so it makes it look like hair versus you drawing it on. I'm just gonna go back in with my spoolie and literally brush through. And voila, we have perfect brows. For more tips just like these, please log on to gogmua.com. Thanks so much.
So that is the bear's hibernation den right there. So I only had to pull it halfway out.
What's a carnivore ecologist?
A carnivore ecologist is a scientist who studies meat-eating animals and how they interact with their environment.
That's really cool.
Carnivores can also be in the water, like sharks and some types of
Whales?
Whales, exactly.
What's the coolest part of your work?
Well, the coolest thing I do is go to the field. I love to be out in nature, and sometimes we even get to climb into the trees, like I'm doing here, all the way up into the canopy, because the canopy of the trees has a whole different ecosystem.
What advice will you give to other young girls like me that want to do science?
Always believe in your passion more than your performance. Even if you get a bad grade in science, it doesn't mean you're not meant to be a scientist.
Why is it important for girls like me to be in STEM?
Scientists are trying to answer questions that can even save the planet. And the only way we can get the right answers to those questions is if we have everybody working on them. We need people from all kinds of backgrounds, from all different parts of the world, and especially from all different identities to be a part of figuring out all of the scientific questions that still need to be answered. She can STEM, so can you. Learn more at She Can STEM.
Update your wardrobe with fabulous looks from SB Boutique. SB Boutique has something for everyone in a variety of sizes. SB Boutique carries an exceptional selection of today's fashions along with exclusive pieces from the hottest Atlanta designers, including a wide selection of shoes and accessories to complement your style. SB Boutique is a premier fashion forward boutique located at 2750 Chapel Hill Road in Douglasville, directly behind Starbucks. Visit our website at shopsbboutique.com.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school.
It's been so amazing to be able to give our child the life that we kind of pictured us having, even though we didn't really have that.
I've been in foster care my whole life.
He's so strong to just be able to leave that all behind and still be able to take care of his daughter and be a good husband.
Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone.
We've been through so much in our life, and he never used that as an excuse, but as motivation to do better.
I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Before the break, we were talking about being an author and the beauty of journaling and where that comes from. I want to focus on your latest book, which is Soulful Sessions, and it's a devotional. And where did that come from?
Well, I grew up reading The Daily Bread. That's one of those books where you see in a church, in the bathroom, or in your grandmother's house. And I used to love reading those so much. It was like a little bit of nugget to get me on my day, a scripture, a word. And so I kind of sort of piggybacked on that, but kind of broadened it for the day's time. Because I noticed that a lot of us can read an affirmation, a nugget, a scripture, and kind of sort of read it, and then that's it. I wanted them to put a little work into it, kind of like a workbook / devotional, where each chapter is an affirmation. It is a nugget. I'll follow along with the scripture, but also make you put your little thoughts into it as well, to come back to it, to see how you've elevated in that 21-day portion.
And you can go back and reflect and read. And it's so funny because even in journaling, a lot of times you're allowed to get what's in your head out.
Yeah.
So with the devotional, it's the same process, but it's almost comical for me, some of the stuff I wrote, to go back a year later to see where my mind and my headspace was. It gives a barometer of growth where you can actually see where you've grown. Sometimes it's easier to see when we grow physically.
Yes.
It's not always easy to see where we've grown spiritually or mature-wise.
Absolutely.
And so I love devotions. As you stated, affirmations. Some people that I know have affirmations taped around their mirrors and stuff, and they read them. At the same time, like you said, once they walk away from that mirror, then it's almost dissolved.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where I feel that when you put a little bit of work, you appreciate it, right? I could have did 30 days, but 21 was just my number. I go against the grain. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. And I wrote that book in 10 days.
Wow.
So that was one of the most monumental out of my career of writing that short of a time. But I went through that writer's block stage. It's like you're writing and it's just not coming through. And then God says, go on a fast for 10 days. And I did. And then that's when the words was like liquid. It came right on down. And then that was it.
Yeah. And my show is normally, we deal with the topic of love. And I've always wanted to be and represent the purity of God's love and not what the church folks are doing, or I can't even stand that term, or what the quote unquote Christians, are doing. I just want it to be and exude a genuine love. Expound on this for me for a second. Loving yourself and loving each other means what to you? Genuine love.
It means, to me, God is the center of that.
Absolutely. And
you can't even say that word without without even reflecting what God is. Because God is love and in all things.
Right.
We struggle with that. A lot of people do struggle with that. They don't love themselves. So therefore it reflects in their actions, in their life, and how they, even live in their life. It holds them, what's the word for it? Hostage.
Yes.
It holds them hostage. So to identify yourself with what that is, what God is in your life, and what does He mean? He is the core of for me.
Yes.
And I do see a lot of people feel was empty because they don't have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's our job to consider, to show that,
right?
So that, and would be the examples of that,
right? And I asked you that question because what you do and all the work and the call that you have in your life is all about the love you have for other people.
Yes.
And I know in order for you to be able to give it away, because I know this is an example in my life, you're getting love from your mate, from your God, from your family, to be able to pour into, because that's a lot of pouring.
Yes,
that's
it
a lot of
is.
pouring.
It can be taxing.
Yeah.
It can be.
And what you're putting out, sometimes you don't always feel like you're receiving, you know. So what do you do when you're in that place, or do you even or does that even exist for you?
Because I download from him, I can't look for man to fill that void for me. That's the connection him and I have, and he gives me just enough strength to give that to the world. Say if my husband didn't love me the way that I wanted him to love me, or my daughter, their kid, my family members, I have to realize my plug is him. And when I'm connected to the source, I would never, ever go dry in love.
Never go dry.
Absolutely.
Never go dry.
Yeah.
And I just wanted, that question just came to me because you're a servant, you're a giver. And sometimes you kind of get low on gas, not out on empty, but sometimes you get low and you do have to pull from the source.
Yes.
So I love that. One of the things that I first noticed about you was your sense of style. I love your style. I love how you change it up. And you guys know this is Style with Trish, so we're going to talk about some style. Who would you say is your favorite? And it doesn't have to be a big-time designer or boutique or whatever. What is your favorite spot to shop at?
Well, SB Boutique is my go-to.
Yes.
the minute I was at their grand opening, she's been my best friend ever since.
Yes.
It was a breath of fresh air to see her unique pieces. That's something you couldn't buy in a store. It wasn't a plethora, of them. And she kind of got me because that's very important. It's finding a boutique or a stylist that gets you, that gets your flow, and they have a piece and they'll say, hey, I got a piece, and it hits the mark every time.
Right. Yeah, and then she learns you. She will text
yes.
say, hey Trish, I got this in. And she knows your own. So, and I told her, I said that you are not just a boutique owner, you're really your own right as stylist, because you've connected with your clients and your customers and you know who's going to like what. But yes, SB Boutique is definitely one of my favorites too. I think that's kind of how you and I, because she told me about you. She's like, you were just going to love her. And she was absolutely right.
I know. I feel like I've been knowing you for years.
Right.
And even through Kwanya, because she talks about you quite often. And I see your pieces as well. You are such a fashionista in your own right as well.
Thank you.
And SB Boutique help us, keep us together.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you believe having a sense of style? So now we're going to talk about branding and image, because say there's a woman out there who already has a book, already has it written up. What's the importance of developing a brand and really, I won't say pulling your personality forward, so you're not creating a image that isn't already who you are. What's the importance of that when anyone is trying to get into the forefront, whether it's entrepreneurship, author, singer? How important is branding?
Very important, actually. It can make or break you these days. Everybody's such a visual person, and it's sometimes like once you put it out there, if you don't do it right, they won't forget you. So having that first impression is very critical, but also being true to thine self. Be authentic, and people could see past the the facade these days. And when you are transparent, authentic, people will gravitate to that. Your audience will gravitate to that. But brand management is so key. Being consistent is so key. Having a team of people, from a publicist or a PR team, to understand your vision and help put that out to your audience. That is so critical for me. If people know me for being a fashionista, and then I go through this bout of, being, not up to the par, there's going, what's wrong with Naya? So to be the lady that I am, to be classy and covered, and to have those dynamic pieces that people just waiting for you to come out with, I'm consistent on that thing, sweetheart.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. And then people are, they'll ask those exact same questions, but being true to thyself is one of the most important things.
Yeah, and you said something really important there, developing a team who knows your heart.
Yes.
Because that they'll keep you in line in certain particular case scenarios, trust me.
Yes, that is so true. I remember I played around with a blonde wig and my publicist had a fit. He's like, what are we doing and how long are we going to keep it on? And I'm like, wait a minute, that's just, I was playing around.
Right.
But he ruled me back on in because he pitches a certain type of image.
Yes.
And he wants me to stay consistent and classy with that.
And I love that, consistent and classy. I'm going to steal that, okay?
That's a t-shirt, right?
But I want you, we have a few minutes left. I want you really just to take this few minutes and really pour into our audience and just share whatever God lays on your heart to encourage us.
I want to say this, for this day and age, everybody is shifting and moving and doing a lot of dynamic things. I'm writing congratulations all the time. But let me just tell you people this. Remember that you have to make sure that your cup is full at all times. And but those who do want to come for you or come for, for your wisdom, your knowledge, or whatever that thing is, let them come for the saucer, what's in the overflow. Because if you're running on dry, you'll be on, that's what it is, you'll be dry, you'll have nothing else left to give. So I say that to say, just be very cognizant of that. You allow God to come into that cup, and then anybody else pour from that overflow.
Where are your books available? And you have a fly tee that I absolutely love. I rock that tee, every t-shirt. I call it tee. And I believe it says, yes, you can.
You can.
You can. It's you can. And I do rock that tee. Actually, I was feeling not feeling well around Mother's Day. And so I went out on a date with my husband and rocked my you can. And every time I saw my reflection, I saw you can. Yeah. But share with us where your books can be purchased and your other products can be purchased.
At soulfoodsessionswithnaya.com. We do have our t-shirts, my books, all information is on retreats and cruises and all that kind of, we're doing a cruise this year too.
Wow.
I know. Yeah. So at soulfoodsessionswithnaya.com is where you can get my t-shirts, my books, and to find out more about what I have with my brand.
Yeah, well, I thank you so much for hanging out with me. This has just been stellar. You just don't even know how much it's been great having you here, hanging out with Style with Trish. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Trish.
Absolutely.
Every day a woman raised. It's time to live your dreams. Nothing's gonna stop you now.
You know, a couple of days ago, I was talking to somebody and they were saying how unhappy they were and how they felt like there was bleak everywhere. Things were just bleak everywhere in the world. And, one of my things that I said was you have to find your own happiness. So if this applies to you, there's some things that you can do to help you find your own happiness. So one of the things that I would suggest is be with people that make you happy. Don't go with the negativity. Don't listen to the, quote unquote, negative vibes. Always have positive people around you, whether it is your mom or your family, your friends, whatever you need to do to stay positive. Surround yourself with positive people, because again, if you stay around with people that are negative, what is going to happen is it's going to affect you also. So try to find positive people and have people that have, the same dreams and goals that you do. Something else I would tell you to do is find your own happiness. And that is hard for some of us during these times. We're working people, we are parents, there's illness, sickness, all kinds of things, but you have to find your own happiness. Sometimes that can be little things, as far as, like me, I do gardening. So gardening is a great way to relieve stress, to make yourself happy. And a lot of people don't know about gardening, but there are certain things in the soil that actually enhance your mood and boost your mood. Not only that, it's the beauty of the flowers or the plants that you're growing. And, it's kind of like being a proud parent. You'll see where they start off being very, very small, and then you see them get tall and green and, flowers. So, that's how I find some of my happiness sometimes as well. Another thing I would tell you is, it sounds so simple, but find the other simple things in life. There are other things that can make you happy, whether it's your children, whether it's just going outside for a walk, or even enjoying the sunshine. There's always things that you can do that enhance your mood, to give you happiness and make you a better person. So whatever you do to make your happiness, make sure that you do it and make sure that you hold on to it, because life is too short for you not to be happy. Again, forget about all the negativity. Forget about all the bad things in the world. Also, remember to do the small things, whether it's gardening like me, or if you find something else that makes you smile. It could be a kitten, a puppy, a pet of some sort, anything that you can do. So always make sure that you're happy and, you know, find the joy that's around you. This has been What's Happening with Sand segment, and I'm Dr. Cassandra Parks.
Every day a woman raised.
We also have my friend Carolyn Watson, the CEO of Home. Make sure you stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is the place where the everyday woman reigns.
Well, I came to the conclusion today that I'm just scared. I never gone and got checked. I don't want to deal with the consequences. So I just act like, okay, I don't know. I don't care. And then after my mom's situation, we were having a conversation, and out of nowhere, my mom was like, oh yeah, I went to the doctor and told me they had this little lump, but they're gonna take it out. But my mom, in my eyes, she's like Superwoman. So I didn't think of it like, oh, nothing. I'm like, she got it. So now after hearing you guys' story, I'm so inspired. I'm gonna go home and do the whole everything, because I need to take charge of this, and I'm gonna do it. Yay! It's time. So go to knowyourgirls.org to take charge of your breast health.
In 4 days. There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children. She didn't know what to do.
Did you have a good day at school?
She gave them some broth. Without any bread.
There you go.
And kissed them all soundly.
Night-night. Good night.
And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
My very special guest is none other than my friend, Carolyn Watson. She is the CEO and creator of Home Organization. And you're going to explain to us what home means.
Well, first of all, I am so ecstatic to be here and excited for you and all that you're doing. But HOME stands for Helping Oppressed Mothers Endure.
Yes.
And what that means is that we provide furniture for single moms who are going through a period of oppression in their life. They are transitioning out of divorce, domestic abuse, incarceration, trying to get reunification back with their children, and just various forms of hardship. And we make sure that once they make that transition, they have everything they need to start life anew.
And you do it so gracefully, so gracefully. This is an organization that I personally love and fell in love with because of the single mom thing.
Yes.
And if you know me, you know I talk about my mama.
That's right. You love.
Who was a single mother of 6.
Wow.
You know, 4 of her biological children, and she had 2 foster children that she raised by herself. And so when I heard the back line of Home, it just really resonated in me. And I just really love this org, not just the people that run it, but I love the organization and what it stands for. How did you come up with the concept of Home, and why?
Well, where do I begin? Because it really started with when I was 9 years old. I must say that because it was during that time that God had showed me something bigger than myself. And unfortunately, you know, my dad was an alcoholic, and that's all I knew. That was a commonplace for me. And when I was 9, my mom decided to take the 2 youngest. It's 5 in the family, but she decided to take the 2 youngest children, and she fled for her life. And she took 2 suitcases and 2 little girls and left and started life all over again. And I say it started at 9 because that very image, that very story is what stayed in my heart all of these years. And in 2002, I wrote "Home is where the heart is," and believed it to be something that I would do at some point in my life that would empower youth.
Yes.
Didn't know exactly what that meant, didn't know what it was, but 12 years later, God brought it to fruition. And I remembered one morning, it was September the 14th, 2014, that I was awakened, and he gave me the name of what helping oppressed mothers endure would be by having me go back and look at what was written in my Bible.
Wow.
So he woke me up at 5:11 that morning, and I didn't realize that it was the same date that was dated on the note card that I had written "Home is where the heart is" and placed it in my Bible 12 years prior. And that was the beginning of home. It was something that my mom never got a chance to see, but every time we serve a single mom, I know my mom is with me.
Yeah, you serving her 50 times over, 50 times over. I am remiss in saying that you are also a writer. So you know,
do a little something.
Yeah, right. You're a poet and writer. You have done some beautiful poetry pieces as well as authored books. Share that journey for us.
Well, that journey actually started when I was about 15 years old. Because of how I was raised, I was very introverted. And I remember at 15, Nikki Giovanni actually came to our school, and I do too. And they just did a tribute to her. CT just told me about. And y'all don't know who CT is, but you'll learn about her later on. But they did a tribute to her, and I was reminded that she was the reason why I got started and how I got started. She came to our school when I was 15, and I just listened to her speak, and I thought, what an amazing gift. And she was so deep. You know, she was so deep in her poetry and her lyrics, and I decided that day that's what I'll do with the rest of my life. Didn't know that God had already given me the ability to just kind of flow in that realm. And I began to write poetry that very day and never stopped. And so to this day, 2 books of poetry, and then I got into writing devotionals. And so I think to date, I have about 12 or 13 books that I've either co-written or written.
And you know I can't stand you. I love you, but I can't stand you. I mean, that seems to be the theme.
That's a term of endurement, right?
That seems to be the theme of this show today. I'm hating on the authors, but that's okay. As I
You
stated,
too
yes.
shall one day be.
Yes, as soon as he drops it in me, I'm going to write it. But you mentioned Nikki Giovanni, and I had the pleasure of meeting her.
Awesome.
And she is so quiet and so meek.
Laid back.
Yeah, and I don't know why I was expecting something different. Because, you know, when you follow someone and you read their work all through your life, you feel like you know some sense of them. But she was totally very humble, very sweet, very quiet. And that was probably one of my most prideful moments as far as being able to meet her. So I understand the love. Yes. The love of it. I write songs, not necessarily do the poetry.
Okay,
but
it's the same thing. Right. Songs, poetry.
True.
So in the same vein, right?
True.
That's cool.
So let's talk more about home, because this is my baby. I love the organization. How was it to get it started? You know, there's someone out there who is, you know, who may be viewing us today and they're looking to start an organization to give back.
Right.
How do you get started in that?
That's a good question, because I believe that different people get started different ways. Okay. For me, it was something that God inspired, and He showed me that everything that happened in my life contributed to what the path He had already placed me on. I mean, even as a single mother myself, you know, I had my first child at 17 years old, and I struggled, and I needed to struggle so that I could understand what it means to see a single mother struggle. I had no idea that He would birth home, but nevertheless, I think that the first and foremost, you have to pray about it. Yeah. You have to look to Him, in my opinion, for everything, and then ask Him for that guidance. What is it you're calling me to do? Because home didn't come to fruition before I went out to the Stone Mountain Lake every single day for 30 days and fasted and prayed and asked God, show me what it is that you're calling me to do. You know, here I am. Use me for your glory. I don't want to go back on another job. I want to work for the kingdom. And He allowed me to do that. And so for me, that's how it transpired. And so I can't leave Him out. So I would say the first thing that you would do is you got to pray about.
Yeah.
What is your calling in the earth? And everybody has a purpose.
Yeah.
And you have to go back to the one who created the purpose in order to find out what that is.
And I think that that's so true because, you know, I'm a firm believer that, you know, God puts in your heart his desire.
Absolutely.
You know, so the word says, you know, pray to God and he will give you the desires of your heart.
That's
well,
right.
guess who puts those desires in your
That's
heart?
right.
So you're only asking him to give you what he's already given.
That's right.
So I think that is so important. And then once you ask him for the thing that he already put in you,
That's right.
the doors are going to open.
That's right.
You're going to find the people. Because for me, I would tend to feel a little intimidated in trying to start an organization because I'm thinking in the back of my mind, it's a lot of paperwork.
Right.
You know, it's all this stuff that I personally don't like to do.
Right.
But if it's in his will for you, he'll place people in your path.
You just said the key.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I started it, I just started. You know, I went out the next day, and didn't get the 501(c)(3). Wasn't even thinking about that at the time. I just started. You have to just start.
Yeah.
And then God started putting people in place, which brings me back around to Carolyn at CT, who connected with me and said, hey, I want to be a part of what you're doing. People like Miss Jacqueline Ramsey say, hey, you know, I want to help you get your 501(c)(3). And we did it in about 20 minutes over the phone.
Wow.
3 weeks later, I actually got my 501(c) in the mail, which is kind of unheard of to get it that quickly. It was Valentine's Day in 2015. So God started to put people in place for me to connect with who were passionate about the work I do, including you. And, you know, the rest is history. You know, he will make provisions for the vision.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that because I've lived it.
Yeah. And we see it every time I see you. And then the thing that I love about you is that you're not just the CEO and creator. You out there getting your hands and as prissy and as prime as you are. You out there doing the gut work.
Wait till I leave here, right?
You're out doing the gut work. And I love to see that. And you can't help but support what you're doing because what you're doing for the community is so needed. With these mothers.
Right.
What has been most rewarding for you just this far in seeing your vision come to fruition?
Doing just what you said, the gut work. I mean, you know, to go back a little bit to what Nikki Giovanni, because she wrote me a letter. I told her that she was my inspiration for writing. She wrote me a letter, which I still have to this day, which I'll always keep. And she said, you know, you did the really smart thing. You self-published your first book, which taught you how the ins and outs of everything, because you have to know the weight size of paper. You have to know what kind of cover you want and things of that nature. And I got a chance to learn that by being self-published, but also with home, it gave me
Hold that thought. We're going to take a really quick break.
Okay.
Guys, we're sitting here with my girl, my sister, Carolyn Watson. We're going to be right back.
Update your wardrobe with fabulous looks from SB Boutique. SB Boutique has something for everyone in a variety of sizes. SB Boutique carries an exceptional selection of today's fashions along with exclusive pieces from the hottest Atlanta designers, including a wide selection of shoes and accessories to complement your style. SB Boutique is a premier fashion for a boutique located at 2750 Chapel Hill Road in Douglasville, directly behind Starbucks. Visit our website at shopsbboutique.com.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school.
It's been so amazing to be able to give our child the life that we kind of pictured us having, even though we didn't really have that.
I've been in foster care my whole life.
He's so strong to just be able to like leave that all behind and still be able to take care of his daughter and be a good husband.
Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone.
We've been through so much in our life, and he never used that as an excuse, but as motivation to do better.
I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Or maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it. could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is the place where the everyday woman reigns. Welcome back to Style with Trish. We're continuing our conversation with my special guest today, Carolyn Watson, CEO of Home. So you were sharing before we broke about the experience that you had with Nikki Giovanni sending you a letter.
Yes.
Expound on that, please.
She sent me a letter, and her letter shared with me, I mean, she always has a nugget of wisdom, and it talked about how that was the best thing that I could have did was actually Arthur self-published my first book. And in self-publishing the first book, of course, it allowed me to learn all the ins and outs about what it means to be a publisher, as well as a writer. And so you asked me about Home in terms of that same vein. And Home allowed me to do the same thing. You know, I didn't come in with a huge board. I didn't come in with a board at all, to be honest. I just did what God was calling me to do, and then He began to send the people to pull it all together. And the greatest experience I've had with Home is being able to actually be in the trenches, to actually be on that big 17-foot truck or 14, you know, and we have a 15-footer as well, and to actually go out, decorate the mom's home, actually see the children and they're hugging and kissing and loving on us, and we're doing the same to them. Actually see how they live, you know, and every experience is different. And it has been the most rewarding piece of Home is to learn every aspect of it, because there was no blueprint about how you deliver furniture. You know, I didn't know how I was going to do it.
Was there an art? I didn't know there was an art to it.
There is not. I mean, you know, you do it by trial and error. Wouldn't recommend that, but you know, you do it by trial and error. But the thing is, you know, I prayed and asked God to show me, you know, show me what it is that you would have me to do. Make me intelligent enough to know what this means, to be able to go out and do something that your name is on. You know, I want to make you proud. And so from that, He allowed me to learn every aspect of what it takes to operate a ministry, because I had no clue in the beginning. But in this 5 years, this year is our 5th year anniversary, and it falls on September the 14th, 2014, the very day I created it. And so we're having that huge benefit concert where you will be a part of it. So we're excited about it.
You know, anything you do, you just call me. You know that.
We appreciate it.
This organization is so impactful and so amazing that you were nominated and I believe received, correct me if I'm wrong, the Colin Kaepernick offer, or tell us about it. You know what I'm referring to.
Yes. Well, by the grace of God, Colin Kaepernick, his management team contacted us out of the blue. We had no idea how he came in to know who Home was all about. And later we found out that he kind of did his own research, and he's big on oppression and assisting people, you know, that are assisting those who are fighting oppression. And he found out about Home, and he contacted us. Well, he had his management to contact us. And from that conversation, we were a part of the $1 Million Pledge. And we received from that a gift of $25,000, the only nonprofit, little old us, in the state of Georgia that received it. And then the following year, Usher came on board and wanted to. Yes, the following year, Usher came on board and wanted to choose us in their 10 for 10. We were actually number 10. We were the last number. Yes, you know, but we know that God had it already orchestrated. So what he did is he gave us $10,000, and then Colin Kaepernick came in and matched that, and so we got an additional $20,000 that year. And so that was pretty special, because you know, I've never had any contact with him. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know who he was, and when they contacted us, and so and I was candid about that, because you know, I'm not big on sports, and Carolyn told me, she called me and she said, hey, you know, we got this email from Colin Kaepernick. I checked it out. It looks like it's legitimate. And so I said, let's call him now. And the rest is history.
Wow, that's
But they know
amazing.
who we are now.
They do know, and they know you're doing and continuing
Yes.
to do great work. So my next question was going to be, would you ever step back as the creator and the CEO and allow, because I know you have a team, we're going to talk about your team and importance of having a team here in a second, but would you ever take the position where you step back, and this is your baby, and allow other people to do the trench stuff? But I think it's probably going to be, that answer's going to be no.
That is going to be a resounding yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Absolutely. I am, while I love, the fact of the learning experience from being in the trenches, because I needed to know that God knows what we have need of even before we ask it. And so that was necessary, for me to be in the trenches and learn the pros and cons, the ins and out, what you experience when you go to a mom's house and they're not at home and, you've been scheduling this for 2 weeks. I mean, all the intricate details of what it means to run this organization. So I don't regret the fact that I'm in the trenches. I needed to be there to understand what this operation is all about, because I can't pass it along if I don't know what to do.
And have an expectation.
There you go. And how to do it in excellence.
Yes.
When you go into a mom's house, what we stay away from, what we touch, how we, make sure that, the home, even though we have a policy on making sure that the home is clean when we go in there, sometimes that's not always the case. And we have to, revamp in seconds in order to get that done. So all of those things were necessary in order for me to understand fully what home is all about. To brand it. To brand it in a way that we can have it operate in excellence for many generations to come.
Because I didn't even think about you need to have your home clean, because you would think somebody bringing me something.
Well, we love our parents. We love our single moms. But there are times that, it's a learning curve for both them and us. And so, because we do take before and after pictures, and we don't want to take pictures of their private items on the floor, and, we want it to be done decent and in order. We want it to be done with taste and style. And so it's the things that you don't see that, we have to know about what's going on the opposite side of it.
And you know what you bring to it, in having a conversation with my mother, one of the things that she said that she had an issue with asking for help because she didn't want to feel less than. And so we never went without, but I didn't learn until I became an adult that she went without even food because of, and I guess it is a level of pride, but it's also a level of dignity.
That's right.
And your whole persona, the Carolyns is what we call them, and even your beautiful husband, which is a part of your team, you come with the sense of dignity. And that's not always easy, to have that. So with you stepping back, you definitely have to train somebody.
I will always kind of have my, kind of oversee what's going on with home from, whether it be the mountaintop or from around the corner, whichever, however God would have me to do that. But I would love to be able to move forward with creating a home in every state, or as many states that God would allow us to, because I believe every state needs a home.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
I hear so many mothers that, women that are successful saying, I went through this ordeal and I wish there was a home when I was going through a divorce or when I was going, through a situation. And so that being said, I want home to be able to extend far beyond just Georgia. So that everybody will, or as many as possible, will have an opportunity
have access to it.
For us to go in dignity and respect and decorate the home and make sure we lift the burden of them having to choose food over furniture month after month after month. We don't really think about that because these are moms that you're going to church with. These are moms that you're working alongside with every day as a co-worker.
And
you
not saying anything.
That they're going home to broken homes because these mothers are go-getters. They're trying to do it for themselves. And our moms, in order to even qualify for our program, they have to either be working or going to school in order to be approved for the program. And so moms like that are just looking at staying focused.
Yeah.
You know, I got to
Yeah.
do what I have to do. But then when someone like home comes along and say, hey, let us lift the burden.
Yeah.
And bless you.
And
with-
there's ways that people, even if they're not in this state, if they're in other states, where they can give and be a blessing to home, so they can be blessings to so many more other people. You have different organizations that you do annually.
Right.
Share those organizations, and also share where they can give if they so please.
Well, first of all, you say share those organizations or
not
share
organizations,
right?
the opportunities.
I know where you're going. Right, right. Well, one of the biggest expenses of home is providing beds.
Okay.
Everyone deserves to have a bed of their own, and so that's the very thing that we purchase brand new is new mattresses.
Okay.
And so to be a blessing to a child, to make sure they have a nice, warm, comfortable bed, that's $75, and $85 will purchase a full-size bed for a mom.
Okay.
And so that is our biggest need, along with, of course, you know, we need funds to operate, but 100% of our dollars goes into operating home. And so how they can contribute is, of course, through our website, which is www.home2heart.org. Again, it's home, the number 2, heart.org, if you'd like to donate to our cause. And, you know, and we do have several fundraisers throughout the year that all are welcome, all are invited.
And all you have to do is go to the website, be nosy. I tell you all the time, it's okay to be nosy. Go to the website and check it out, and it will provide you with all the necessary information on home. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for hanging out with me.
Thank you, my sister, for allowing me to be here.
Absolutely.
Every day a woman
Well, I came to the conclusion today that I'm just scared. I never gone and got checked. I don't want to deal with the consequences. So I just act like, okay, I don't know. I don't care. And then after my mom's situation, we were having a conversation, and out of nowhere, my mom was like, oh yeah, I went to the doctor and told me they had this little lump, but they're gonna take it out. But my mom, in my eyes, she's like Superwoman. So I didn't think of it like, oh, nothing. I'm like, she got it. So now after hearing you guys' story, I'm so inspired. I'm gonna go home and do the whole everything, because I need to take charge of this, and I'm gonna do it. It's time. So go to knowyourgirls.org to take charge of your breast health.
I'd like to thank our guest for today. We've none other than Nia Matthews, who has taught us to give from our saucer, as well as the CEO of Home, Carolyn Watson. Make sure that you give and donate to that organization. The word for today is love. How can we love ourselves first and love others? The best way to do that, and the first part of that, is to begin journaling. Write down your thoughts. What do you think about yourself? How are you feeling today? Build a repertoire and date it. Build a repertoire of how you're feeling each day and build on that. Say, tomorrow I felt down. I felt bad about myself. I felt ugly. But tomorrow when I get up, I'm going to feel wonderful. I'm the most beautiful being in the world. You can choose how you walk out each day. And you have to tell yourself who you are in order for you to believe who you are. First step is to love yourself first. Once you fully love who you are, whose you are, who you've been created to be, then you can start living a more fulfilled, happy life. Now, we do know happy is temporal, but in this situation, once you get used to the temporal happiness, then it turns and marinates into joy. And as joy is something that you cannot take away. No one can take it, and you can't give it away. It's embedded in you. So let's start with the first step of journaling and writing how we feel so that we can build on our self-worth. This is Trish Standley. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.